Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Welcome back, everybody. And hope everyone had a good month of Ramadan and a good break. For sure, it was busy on our side. There's no doubt about that. We're so busy, alhamdulillah. May Allah always keep us busy doing something good. We had about 30 to 40. I think maybe we hit 40 i'tikafers this year. Yusuf, were you one of them?
In and out.
In and out. Okay, that kind of i'tikaf, which I did too. Also, I didn't even spend any of the nights except most of the last 10 nights. But I had to be in and out too. Hey, so could you? What's going on with this thing? You're an engineer, right? He's an ITer. Something's up with the mic. What we didn't stream for 4 days. Now the mic doesn't know how to behave. We have a number of segments today. As soon as we settle up with this mic, we got a number of segments. The first segment, we have a question on fisq and public sins. What difference does it make if your sins are public or private? What happens? We have that segment. We're going to read a short chapter from Ash-Shajara an-Nabawiyya. We continue to make ourselves hopefully beloved to the Messenger, peace be upon him, by loving his family. We're all about that. Then we go into Israel news. News about Israel and how they've essentially lost the war, according to this Haaretz. If you judge a war by the announced goals that you set, right? You set certain goals and you never reach those goals, right? Then you've lost the war, right? Then we're going to get into Iran, okay, and what's going on there, and how that's just essentially a distraction for Netanyahu to keep going with this war and to distract from Gaza and all sorts of other terrible things. So that's our business for today. So we got 4 segments, and then we'll open up for Q&A. So we have 5 segments in today's live stream. So, I forgot. We have a 6th segment. Let's bring our guests in today. We have a guest. They took my goat away. And actually, we can clear off some space here. I actually have wished that I had gone on trial, right? Because I would have said, Your Honor, no body, no crime. Where's the chick? Where's the animal? I said, Your Honor, look at this beauty right here. Whoa, careful now. Look at this guy. This is a chicken.
No way, that's a chicken.
This is a silky. Can I hold him? How do you hold him? Like this?
You just have to grab
both?
Yeah,
Behave. All right, no goat. Well, I got myself a replacement. Look at this gorgeous male or female? Female. You can't have males, right? In the township because they make too much noise. So our goat made too much noise. That's why we got in trouble. But now we have a guest here. It's not ours. But I'm thinking, I think we should get a couple, right? Look at this beautiful silky. They're very calm. They're covered in beautiful fur. It's like down almost. It's the type of stuff that you want to sleep on. Huh? Yeah. Emo means what exactly?
It's like a look kind of, right?
It's like when make your skin really pale and your hair dark black and you be depressed and have a haircut like this, right? Is that what it is? Okay. Let's see how long our chicken here is going to behave with us. Now let's get to our second segment here. Okay. Second segment of the program is an answer to a question. All right, so got to tell the person that's asking that I'm answering this on the live stream. So the question says, can you tell me what happens when you sin and openly advertise and don't hide that you're sinning? Now, I can read this, although it's a private message, because it's a general question. All right? All right. What happens in your own life? Now, firstly, when a person commits an act of disobedience to Allah, there's 2 elements here. The number 1 element is you disobeyed Allah. Number 2, how did you disobey Allah is the question. Not just what sin did you commit, but you have to ask 2 things. Number 1, did you involve any people? Okay? And such that you actually hurt somebody, or you actually involve someone else. You were the influence of someone else committing sin. So let's say theft, I hurt somebody, but I did it by myself, so I only got the sin for myself. Or let's say drunkenness. Well, drunkenness, I'm not going to say that because you could hurt someone else while you're driving or whatever. Let's say you got high. You locked the door of your basement, threw the key away, you got high, you didn't hurt anybody but yourself. Okay? So that's a second thing. The third thing now, did you have embarrassment? A man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, we commit sins and we hide them. Is this hypocrisy?" The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Rather, this is iman. Because at least you believe Allah is watching and you're embarrassed in front of Allah." So this is actually a good thing to do. So here we talk about three things. Number one, who did you harm? Who did you involve in your sins? And did you have shame or not? If you didn't have shame of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's very bad in itself. But on top of that, you're setting a terrible example for the community. You're basically announcing to the community your boldness in disrespecting Allah, and then you're influencing other people to do the same thing. Even if you're not influencing them to do it. But what you are showing them is, it's okay. I disobeyed Allah, my business is flourishing. And a simple-minded person would say, "Oh, okay, he's doing it, he's doing it, he's doing it." What kind of blowback? What is the punishment of all this? The punishment, of course, that you disobeyed Allah, that's that in two ways now. You're committed your sin, first of all, but number two, you have no shame, no embarrassment. So now, the number one thing that's going to happen to you is that when you slip up, Allah will not send you someone who has decency. The witnesses will be people who wish to humiliate you, to expose you. So if I commit some sins and I have no problem with it, so what am I announcing to Allah? I'm announcing, I don't mind publicizing my disobedience to you. So now you slip up in your store and you get caught, let's say, doing something in your store that's wrong, or in your business that's wrong, or in your family that's wrong. Why would Allah cover up your sins if you don't cover up your own sins? Right? Many, many people commit sins in private and they pray, "Oh Allah, don't let anyone know." Right? This is what they do. And Allah covers their sins. Why did Allah cover your sins? Because you had embarrassment. You had the decency to cover up your own sins. So therefore, Allah will cover up your sins. So the first thing that's going to happen is that Allah will not cover. You lose the sitr of Allah. The sitr is why we survive by sitr. It's unbelievable how much that we literally solely survive by sitr. Sitr means covering up our sins. That's the meaning of sitr. Do you know that every day and night we're in active disobedience in some way, shape, and form, yet Allah covers it? All right? So if you don't cover your sins, the first thing is you're going to get exposed, right? You're going to get exposed. And all these people who get exposed, it's never the first time. Umar ibn Khattab, he came upon a man who committed theft. And the man swore up and up, "Please don't cut my hand off. I got so many kids. It's my first time." So Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib said, "Amir al-Mu'mineen, what do you think? Should we forgive him? Right? Do we have the right to forgive him?" Umar ibn Khattab said, "Allah doesn't expose somebody from the first time." That means Allah only exposes you after you repeatedly do it without tawbah and without any shame. What's number two? Number two, what did you do for society, the Muslim society? You basically told the Muslim society this is okay. Disobeying Allah is okay. That's what you're saying when you're doing the sin. Don't worry about disobeying Allah. You're shameless about it. So Allah Ta'ala will surround you with people who are accepting of that. These people are not going to be good influences on you or your children. And if this continues, you will literally lock yourself. You will be locked by these people. You will be so thoroughly surrounded by bad people. People who are accepting a fasiq, because the category of a public sinner is, we call him a fasiq. The word fasiq is also goes to somebody who is an innovator in Aqidah. But I prefer the name bid'i for that, to separate between the two. So the fasiq is the public sinner, and the bid'i is the innovator in Aqidah. Somebody who goes against an explicit text. There's no excuse ever to go against an explicit text. There's no interpretation there. So you're going to be surrounded with such people who are approving of this. They love you despite your open disobedience to Allah like this. Your shamelessness with Allah. So now you're going to be surrounded by these people. Year passes after another year, second year, a decade, 2 decades. It's going to be very hard to break out of that group. Okay? It's going to take a lot of pain. It's going to take a lot of effort to break out of such a group. That's the second worldly punishment. We're talking about this worldly punishment. Forget the next world. This worldly punishment. How else does the Sharia punish you? Now, number 3, the Sharia categorizes you as a fasiq. Legally, you are a fasiq. What does that mean? It is sinful to befriend you. It is sinful to marry you. The marriage is valid, but it's sinful. Your testimony is not accepted. Okay? Your testimony will not be accepted. All right? Now, why is it sinful to befriend and be so nice and loving and warm with a fasiq? Well, the answer is because of his shamelessness. This person has no shame in front of Allah. So this person has a store, he sells alcohol. Ali, come on in. Ali has come with the good deeds. I love brothers who do good deeds like this. What do we have here? Khaybar. Bismillah. Good chai, really good chai. You know how much chai we had this Ramadan? Khaybar opened up. It's not a chain. It's not yet anyway. Inshallah, someday will be. But chai and coffee and all that. Ramadan, there was a bonanza. I must have had like probably 2 to 3 cups a day.
And Uncle started making it themselves.
Yeah.
We have a competition between the uncles.
Yeah, 2-3 cups a day of this guy because he put a kiosk right outside the masjid and was selling it there and giving it away there. So anyway, that's the 3 punishments of this world for public sinning. I'll repeat them. Number 1, you lose Allah's protection from your own shortcomings. You disobey Allah as something you don't mind, but there is something you do mind. You may be committing zina. Your wife catches you. Oh, why did this happen? Hold on a second. You are not embarrassed. Suhaib, come on in. Tafaddal. Qad ma'al qa'adin. You were not embarrassed to disobey Allah publicly as a usurer, selling alcohol, investing in, I don't know, some stock that's not lawful. You weren't embarrassed about that. You didn't try to hide it. So why would Allah hide your sins? Your sins will cause your daughter to think ill of you. Your wife might hate you. Same thing, right? So secondly, what is the second thing we said? We said that you will be surrounded with bad people, bad influences. Anyone who is accepting of a fasiq and loves them, you will be surrounded by them. So to get out of that is going to be very hard. It's going to be very painful to get out of that friend group. And anytime you want to do good, they're going to pull you back into their vortex. Number 3, you will be legally categorized as a fasiq. We're not going to befriend you. We may be friendly to you because we have to, right? I don't know what people do in their personal life, but I have to be friendly with them. When they come to walk through the masjid, he may be coming as a tawab. But if, for example, a guy owns, in Ohio, do you know that Muslims own strip clubs? Whoa. I'm not kidding you. And you want to hear the zinger on top of that? Food's halal. Okay?
So they start with the club or like what?
Saudi all over again, yeah.
I don't know what the logic is.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say this serving of halal chicken is haram.
Yeah.
Because you're actually attracting Muslims to come in.
Yeah.
How do you even market this, right?
But that means they have clientele.
That's a scary part.
Yeah.
That Muslim, he eats halal food only. So his stomach and his eyes, his mouth is halal, only consumes halal, but his eyes consume other than that.
It's a desi Islam.
Shit, ajib jiddan. And I'm not even kidding you about this. And you can ask people who live in Ohio. I think it's Toledo, right? I'm sort of outing them, but that's okay. By the way, we're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Right? A fasiq has outed himself, so we treat him as he treated himself. Right? Al-mu'amala bil-mithl.
Even this guy's not about it.
He's not all about this. Al-mu'amala bil-mithl. Okay? So the way that you want to be treated, you'll be treated. So there's Lebanese folks in Toledo, Ohio, and they're big time donors to the Islamic schools. Why do you send your kids there? But they're donors to Islamic schools. Even I heard that one imam, when he found out, he quit his job. He said he didn't believe his money is blessed because they're the biggest donors to the masajid, right? In that area. Okay. So that's the third thing. Second thing is you'll be surrounded by bad people. Third thing we said, you're a fasiq. Okay. We can talk about you now, and we should. Imam Sidi Ahmad Zarruq, he gives a warning. He said it's a very bad day when people cover the sin of the open sinner. He is an open sinner. He should be shamed. If somebody uses the N-word and he works for NBC, will not the whole media industry collectively shame this person? We shame him to death until this is eradicated because we don't believe in it. Well, that's a good thing. We agree with them on that, right? You shame them because this behavior should be eradicated from our community. Same thing when it comes to the fasiq. Just because society doesn't deem it wrong overall, doesn't mean we Muslims don't deem it wrong. Like homosexuality in Islam. No, if someone openly says, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." How about someone openly commits zina? Right? How about someone openly sells liquor? These families here that openly have a liquor stores, halal strip club. What the heck? There should be there's no shame and you shouldn't. You shouldn't say, "Okay, let's not talk about them." No, they should be shamed. There's a law in the world. If you push back, things shrink away. If you criticize something, it just, I don't know what it is. It slowly disappears. In al-batil kana zahuq. It's zahuq by itself. So we're increasing its zahuq, right? We're speeding it up. We're speeding it up. Al-batil is always zahuq. Zahuq means it's fleeting. Why? Because the batil is based upon whimsical premises. So as soon as the whims change, the batil changes. Okay? So that's the concept of the fasiq and how, legally speaking, we're allowed to talk about you. It's sinful for us to be associated with you. Oh, by the way, there's another thing about the fasiq is that if a fasiq dies, the nobles, the people who are viewed as religious examples shouldn't attend the janazah because this is approval. The imams should not attend its janazah out of karahiyah.
To not be seen there with that, like.
No, karahiyah. They should not be seen with them. Right? Makruh. Even after death. Because it's a sign of approval. We need to shame your behavior out, so we will shame you out of here. Right? Take care, Yusuf. Take care. We should shame. It should be shamed, right?
You said this once earlier. There's a guy whose wife died. He went to a local sheikh, and the sheikh refused to go to the wife's burial janazah because she used to smoke all her life. She was like widely known for like smoking in the community, and the sheikh never went. And the guy had beef with the sheikh afterwards. Like, I don't want to be seen at the janazah. It's the same thing.
There was a time where if you were caught smoking, there was a time where if you were caught going to cinemas, you were a fasiq.
Yeah.
And there's a story in Shadee.
What is it?
The woman died.
Pull this down.
Smoker.
Yeah. And they refused to.
One of the habaib, they prayed over her, but one of the habaib did not.
That's the story. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they asked him like, why didn't you pray over her?
Yeah.
And they saw him go into a hat, and then when he came out of it, he said, "I'm not gonna pray over someone who's on like bid'at al-azima."
Wow.
This is the story. Yeah.
And they said like,
Ajib.
and then he said, "Go look in her grave, and she'll be facing opposite qibla."
No way.
So I went and go looked at the grave.
Ajib. Subhanallah azim. Karamat al-awliya. Sharia. By following the Sharia.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Hey, so one of you can please go to Haaretz and try to get this article, How Israel Lost Its Total Victory. Get get the article because there's a paywall there. Haaretz. It has a paywall, and I need to get around it. I don't know if it's ethical to get around it, but it's Haaretz, so it's ethical, right? But Haaretz, they're all liberals. They're not very religious Jews. Okay. Yeah, in a way. And maybe not anti-Zionist, but anti-right-wing Jews. Or right-wing Zionists.
The funny thing is, the right-wing Christians are against them now.
Huh?
What's his name?
They're against who?
The Jews.
Who?
Candace Owens.
Oh, Candace Owens. Yep.
Tucker Carlson.
Yep.
I don't watch any of this stuff, but somebody was telling me the other day.
Candace Owens just owned a rabbi. I felt bad for the rabbi, to be honest with you. His theory is whacked. I'll tell you why it's whacked. I believe it's whacked. But this guy was, I would say, incomprehensible. He was like, you couldn't understand what he's saying because he's going like this with emotions, all emotions. Like Candace actually is trying to have this logical argument. Let's talk about anti-Semitism by defining anti-Semitism first. He couldn't set a definition. He just kept going like this. And he kept saying that the way in which Jews are hated historically changes. Therefore, anti-Semitism, the definition has to change. Here's my problem with that. Actions are there's two parts to every action. There's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, right? Yeah. I don't think society should get into the why, right? We should only get into the what.
So why is intention?
That's intention. Yeah. It's we'll never be able to verify it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, get your mic closer and fix it up nicely here so that, inshallah, when Omar finishes Salah, he'll put your mic on. I love when you're around too, but this is to my left is a brother named Suhaib. He's a very smart guy because he's liberal arts, so he knows a lot of things, right? He's great at talking and writing too. You're a writer too, right?
Yeah,
that's good, mashallah. So now, what he's saying is essentially, if you criticize, let's say, Israeli policy, that is hate. We should just judge me based on what I'm saying, and what I'm doing. Not how you perceive it, right? If what I'm saying is lawful, then I should be treated lawfully, right? Yeah. If, for example, there's a tenant, and I want to get the tenant out, okay?
We've had some problems with that in this building.
Huh?
We've had some problems with that in this building.
Yeah, we've had issues with that here in the building. So this is, if let's say the tenant was Hispanic, of any Hispanic origin, and I say, listen, please stop cooking this food. You're stinking up the place. They say, no, I don't want to. Right. This is my right to do it. I say, okay, fine. And we start arguing. We start hating each other. Then I come and I say, you know what, lawyer, am I within my rights to raise the rent? Yes, you can raise the rent as much as you can. I say, okay, tenant, we're raising the rent 3 times, 3x. Oh, you're doing this just because you hate me, you want to get me out? Hate crime. It's obvious I'm doing it because I hate you, right? But I'm allowed to hate you.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to break the law.
That's true.
Right? I'm allowed to hate anybody, but I'm not allowed to break the law. That's why it's called a hate crime. Lawful action motivated by hate is what? Lawful, right? I am taking a 100% lawful action here by raising the rent. Oh, you're just doing this because you hate us. Yes, I hate you, right? But I'm doing something lawful. If I now start saying all sorts of Hispanic slurs, that's a hate crime. Yeah. So hate crime. If it's lawful action motivated by hate, it's lawful. You don't have to like me, but you can't accuse me of anything. You could just say, I hate this guy, he hates me. No problem.
Why can't we just be free to hate who we want?
What? Yes, hate is in the heart. The law judges actions. So I can hate a lot of people, but as long as I treat them lawfully, we're good to go. You don't have to like me. But we're civil and we're living in a civil society here where everyone keeps their emotions to themselves in your heart and only act on what is lawful. Right? And if you act on what is respectful, that's extra. If you're decent, that's extra. If you're nice, that's triple extra. Nobody has to be nice, right? In other words, not being nice is not a crime. That was my response to Rabbi, what was his name? No, that Candace Owen just debated. Like, while I'm listening to him, I see where he's going. He's reading into intentions.
Yeah.
So if by criticizing Israel policy, by not crying and weeping over something that is perceived to be negative to Israelis or Zionists or Jews, he views that as you're doing that because you hate us. I want to say, I'm allowed to hate you. I'm just not allowed to break the law.
Yeah.
Right? Someone needs to say this. You are all allowed to hate me, but you're not allowed to trespass my property, for example. Yeah. I expect you to hate me. So the Quran tells us many of you will hate us. I actually expect it. But keep your hatred in your heart. The moment you come out and say slurs and curse me in the street, at that point, that's probably, I don't even know if that's a crime, except certain slurs.
Yeah.
Right? If I walk around and every time I see somebody white, I say, I hate you. I hate you. Okay? Europe colonized the world. Is that a crime? I wonder.
There's whole university classes where they do that. It's 1 hour. There's 15 minutes.
And if you don't do that, you fail the class.
Yeah, exactly.
It's recommended at liberal arts to do this. It's mandub in liberal arts to do this. Right?
On top of that, you can't. It's total crazy talk to define one person's actions by the feelings of the recipient of that action.
Thank you.
And this is why I think Iran got involved, because the Shia, they do mantiq.
Yeah.
You know, they must have
Did you get around the paywall so we could read this?
I was gonna ask you, what was the website again?
It's Haaretz, and which is the world, I believe. Al-Ard. Haaretz is Al-Ard. Ad-Dunya,
okay.
basically, in Hebrew. And the article is called How Israel Lost Its Total Victory in the Gaza War. We're trying to read this article. It's in the... essentially, what the article is going to say is that they had certain goals, and they never met any of these goals. Right? They never met any of these goals. And their continuation of trying to hire different people is expanding to defend themselves in the public sphere. Recently...
Oh, like PR people.
PR people. And usually known celebrities. There was a guy who was on... Was he Joe Rogan, I believe? African-American for the first time I saw. I didn't see a lot of African-Americans defending Israel.
Yeah.
Right? But they got one. And he said that they got one because they want to appeal to the progressive left, which they've lost. So they said that by the standard of the population density, he says 20,000, 19,000 Hamas operatives were killed, 11,000 civilians were killed. By population density, that actually proves that Israel was trying to avoid civilians. So this guy uses his brain to deny the reality in front of his own two eyes, right? That's how some people use their intellect for the wrong reasons.
Gaslighting your own self.
Gaslighting your own self, essentially.
Wow.
Did you get the article, by the way?
I can't find it.
Okay, can't.
What's it
It's
called?
Haaretz.
What is it called? Yeah,
How
that's-
Israel lost
It's total victory in Gaza war, and we got to pay the paywall here. We're gonna get around it.
We don't want to pay these guys.
Okay.
This is a total victory or something.
Yeah, that's why I like these silkies. They don't move.
This is a chicken.
Yeah, he can't even see where he is.
This looks like an Ice Age dodo bird.
I know. It's from right out of Ice Age. This
defrosted,
this
this
bird can't even walk. Oh, well, that's why we have the towel there. He just left us a gift. What's the ruling on silky dung? It's tahir.
Yeah, you find it.
Hanafi is najis?
Yeah, the Malikis is tahir. Yeah.
It's tahir for us.
You Hanafis.
You Hanafis.
It's tahir for us. Tahir for us
it's right
means what? Means if I step in it, I can pray.
This one, right? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, here we
I
go.
don't think that I'm gonna have a pay.
No, try
So Israel lost the war in this respect. They didn't achieve its goal. They did not eradicate Hamas. Let me talk about that goal. That goal is a stupid goal because that should not be your goal, because you can eradicate Hamas and simultaneously produce 10,000 more Hamases, right? You can eradicate Hamas. If you kill all these children, you will have produced for yourself 1 million more Hamases, right?
Yeah.
So eradication of Hamas in this manner doesn't achieve your goal, right? You have to achieve your goal by not making things worse. We study this in the chapters of commanding right and forbidding wrong. You must command the right and forbid wrong. However, if you have a dhan rajih, like a high likelihood, or you have yaqeen, certainty, that you're going to make matters worse, then you don't do it. This is extremely important, right? And that's where a lot of commanding right for any wrong is a judgment call, right? Will we actually make things worse or not? That's a judgment call. And I think most people judge a little bit too sensitively on that. And they say, well, I don't want to say anything. It could get worse. I think if you overdo that, then you never forbid wrong.
Yeah. We were
And
just
that's a
talking
problem.
about that like a couple hours ago. With the case of converts.
Yeah.
Because that's a sensitive issue.
Yeah.
But like there's a point where you just, like converts might be doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
But just nobody told them that they shouldn't be doing it.
And no one wants to because they're too scared.
Yeah.
But you almost have to at this point in our community, especially.
It's a right.
You have to, or else you can't guide them.
Not only that, the convert community is growing so big.
Mashallah, yeah.
If you don't aggressively educate, but nicely, and you have to tell people, listen, I know it's really, you're just learning all that stuff, and you have to give them all that runway, runway, and you have to be very sensitive and gentle about it, but you have to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't talk,
leave them to do whatever.
like I said earlier, this rule of the world Allah created, it's like a universal law. If you talk about something, it grows. If you push something back, it just disappears.
Yeah.
Right? You have to push back. You have to never hesitate. Which some people are asking you, hold on, you've been ganged up on all Ramadan about niqab and you didn't say anything. You think I'm gonna accept? First, you think I'm worried about this? I don't get it. I don't get intimidated or bullied. I don't win. You're not gonna win every battle, right? But I'm not gonna be intimidated. My kids ask, when you're talking about teach your kids and raising them and stuff, and they ask a question like about your childhood, say, Baba, did you ever get bullied? Said, people did bad things, yes, but to be bullied requires a victim mentality. I don't have that, right? And it requires a mentality that you've lost, right? I don't have that. There could be 10 Mike Tysons around me. I'm not going to win the fight, but I'm not going to feel inside me like I'm bullied. But anyway, it requires something of weight. What would I be worried about? I'm going to respond to it. I have a response to it, but I'm not going to be pushed around by these guys. But I'm also, I'm going to do something else because I talked about Habib Omar a lot, and I want to respect that. I know the Habaib do not like mubaraza, even with words, with other Muslims. So I respect that. Simultaneously, that I never back down from anything. I just don't, especially if I'm right about something. If you're right, bring the proof. And if you're right based upon a judgment, bring that. In that way that you're not saying that this is an absolute law, but you're saying that this is based upon a judgment. Bring that. If you have a judgment, you know what you need to bring? You need to bring other people who came to that same conclusion. You're not the only person with a brain, right? So if you came upon a judgment, anything that's a judgment call, you can't be the only one with that judgment call, right? Yeah. So bring others with that judgment call. If you're not an expert in the field, then you shouldn't be having a judgment call at all. You're citing other people's judgment calls. All of us are muqallids. In fiqh, no, the biggest teacher, it will be a muqallid. And we are muqallidin. And most, as Ibn Rushd said, most fuqaha are all fuqaha are within the range of taqleed. It's just the difference between how much knowledge they have, and how much evidences they know, right? So that's what makes a good faqih, a big faqih from a smaller faqih. So that's what we're all at. All right, we got the Israel article here. Let's read it. This was an important article. A lot of people are quoting this article. Really? How did you get it?
It's such a hassle.
Hacking and stuff?
He made me sign up for 4 different things.
Whoa.
But it was like free trials and everything.
I hope you don't get
No.
stuck with that.
You can just do command I, like
Yeah.
HTML, and then it just gets rid of the ad
Good.
block. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
Total
I'm not
Victory
in college anymore.
by B. Michael. The author's name, B. Michael.
Benjamin.
Wait a second. February 24th? This should have been a more recent article. Right?
Oh, yeah, February. That's like a month ago. More than a month ago.
Anyway, let's read it anyway. Total Victory, so it seems, is something like the Israeli equivalent of King Arthur's Holy Grail. The prize, sacred and magical, with the supposed power to grant its holder strength, wealth, honor, and status. In the Israeli case, plenty of coalition lawmakers who will be able to retain their Knesset seats has vanished. Everyone is in search of the Grail of victory. The army, the government, parties, factions, the right and the far left, the indicted and the suspected. They're searching and have failed to find it. Okay, he's going to list them now. Number one at the top of the list. Where are the hostages? You didn't get the hostages. Shouldn't that be your number one priority? A little more than 5 months ago, it seemed within their grasp, but their stupidity has pushed it away. Okay? That was on October 8th, the day after the attack on the Gaza border. Or perhaps it was the evening of October 7th, when Israel went to war, not only with Hamas terrorists, but a total war. The Israel Defense Forces spokesman, a talking robot, reported that day on the thousands of casualties in Gaza, 426 targets, attack tunnels, blah, blah, blah. All right, the Air Forces the same day. Thus, within 36 hours, without an iota of preparation and planning, without a clue about what its purpose was or an exit strategy, Israel embarked on a savage war. A war dictated by bile, delusion of grandeur, a wounded ego and its nakedness exposed. A sane country would not go to war like this. This is how you conduct a lynching. The next day, October 9th, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant announced a total blockade of Gaza. No water, no food, no electricity, no medicine would reach it. This was the moment we deprived ourselves forever of total war. By the way, the Quran says, لِيَغِيظَ بِهِمُ الْكُفَّارِ. Why does the Quran talk about annoying ghayz of your enemy? Your enemy, not any kafir walk on the street, your enemy. Why? Once he's annoyed, he's emotional, he can't think straight. When he can't think straight, he can't defeat you. They got extremely emotional here. This whole war was like a rage. They went into a rage. And you never succeed when you go into a rage. My feelings are that they're in a rage. They're not winning. They're losing they're losing public support. They might as well mop up the whole Middle East now. That's what I think their logic is. Yeah. Go to Iran. They picked the fight with Iran by bombing their embassy in Damascus. If a country bombs an American embassy anywhere, what do you think we're going to do with that country? In 24 hours, it will have regretted it so bad, right? You will regret it so badly. Yeah. If the Afghan government, for example, Taliban, if they said, we're done with American relations, and they bombed and killed all those people in the embassy. I don't know if in Damascus if Iranians were killed. Let's take killing out of the equation. Yeah. You just totally bombed the embassy in the capital of Afghanistan, Kabul. Yeah. That country is going to be off the map in 24 hours.
Because they consider it American soil.
It's American soil, right?
I guess the exception is if you're Saudi Arabia, then you can kind of kill the American journalists if you want to.
He's a citizen. You're talking about a citizen. Yeah. Sohaib's talking about Saudi that killed an American citizen, right? Which is, what's his name? Name again? Remind me his name again?
I don't actually know. I only know news like second or third hand. Yeah. I haven't looked at an article in like 10 years.
I forgot the guy's name. The journalist.
In West Bank, right?
No.
They
killed him in Turkey.
Yeah.
Yep. Turkey. They killed him in Turkey. All right, let's continue this. If Israel had exhibited a modicum of common sense, and Elon Musk said this, who I hate because of his love of these Zionists, Elon Musk said, the way that you're actually going to win this battle is actually by being nice to Palestinians.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly right.
Because you disarm them. You disarm them. Be nice to them. Yeah, send in special ops, then be nice again. Right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how the United States is far more savvy in getting what it wants done. Right? Except for the last few wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, they were stupid. Even then, they go in, they help, and they take pictures with kids, and give kids candy on holidays and things like that, and send in aid, right? And they do all these things, but the way in which you get the job done is through, special ops. Send them in, but simultaneously, you throw some sugar on it. You're not throwing sugar on it because you love them. You're throwing sugar on it to disarm them.
Yeah.
The way a politician praises the community, right? It's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
But psychologically, it still affects you. When Justin Trudeau goes into a message and said, we care so much about our Islamic citizens. When he's full of BS.
Did you play all
The
sides?
guy is a full-on, the wokest person on the earth.
Yeah.
And could care less what you believe about marriage, right? So he doesn't really care about you. So, but nonetheless, the words, 100% is full of BS, it still affects you. That's human nature, right? It still affects you. This looks like I've saved the chicken
I know. I was thinking
from a
like-
fire.
It looks like you were it looks like you're in like a refugee camp or something.
Omar, it looks, Omar is, as you know, he makes the thumbnail while we're talking. And he's got me holding the chicken, the silky chicken. It's called the silky, this kind of chicken.
This is yours.
And the background is an explosion. So it looks like I saved this turkey out, this chicken out of
You're
explosion.
reporting on like this disaster that's happened in some chicken territory. Like this, look at this wounded bird.
You know what I really want? I really want a peacock,
Well, I can get you one.
a baby
I
peacock.
can get you one.
How much
I
does
can
it
get you
cost?
one.
How much does it cost?
Huh? It's not that expensive. Maybe 2K.
2K.
It's not that expensive.
Wow.
But the upkeep is serious.
What, can I rent one?
Peacock's going to depression, huh?
Can I rent it?
What about lease?
Huh?
Can you
Yeah,
lease a
lease,
peacock?
lease
By the way,
finances.
it needs to be a male peacock.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they go into depression like very fast.
Yeah, the females are not really, but they're huge though.
They're huge. They're too big. That's why a baby peacock. I want a male baby peacock for
We're
a day.
keeping the yard back here again.
It's illegal.
No, it's,
We have to-
they're just gonna have a
I-
zoo from Dr. Shadee.
Yeah.
They got the goat, the chicken, the peacock.
Now that I had to go to court for this, I asked.
Yeah, how was that by the way?
Alhamdulillah, my lawyer took care of it.
Oh, mashallah.
I wanted to go to court. Like I wanted to do a Zoom session
Yeah.
and record it.
Oh,
I don't know if that's allowed, but it's a public building.
Yeah.
So I can
you can-
record my own
yeah,
case. So a Zoom session, I wanted to record it. I wanted to tell the judge, I wanted to talk to him about this.
Yeah.
How is it okay not to have a goat or a peacock, but it's okay to have a Rottweiler?
Yeah.
He's gonna, of course, say, "I don't make the law. If you don't want the law, go have it changed." But I just want to make the statement,
Yeah.
right? I want to put it out there that this is an absurd law.
Yeah.
They say these animals make too much noise, more than a dog.
Yeah, dog is the. You have chihuahuas out here.
Yeah, these things are barking all day long.
Public menace. Disturbing the humans can't disturb the peace. But you can't get a goat out here. He's just recycling.
Then in that case, you should probably not. Why is it allowed to turn your radio on so loud?
Yeah.
You know these
Especially on
mechanics.
this street over here.
Yeah.
Oh, Allah.
Let's go back to this article. If Israel had exhibited
Journalist was Jamal Khashoggi.
Khashoggi, yes. Okay. So an American citizen was killed by Saudi, and the U.S. did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. If Israel had exhibited a modicum of common sense, it would have contained its raging passions. Okay. It would have looked to the restraint exhibited by Golda Meir after the Munich massacre, the U.S. President George Bush after 9/11, and even the Iranians, who respond with a laconic, "We will respond in the proper time and place" after every Israeli assassination or other operation against them. If we had acted properly, Israel would have found itself in its favorite position of all, the victim, the persecuted, right? The sufferer,
like
the
a-
unfortunate. Okay, now he's saying what we can't say. And this time, for a change, there would have also been a fair amount of justice in that. The whole world would have felt our pain and flooded us with love. We would have been gladly invited to Eurovision. I don't know what that is. Hamas would have been deemed absolute evil, and Israel the absolute best. If you can control your temper. Huh? Yeah, this is an older article. Can you look up this one? Here, take this iPad and look up that one. But I like this article, even though it's old. We're going to read the other one too. But Israel is not given to common sense. Its instincts got the better of it again. Okay. It was more important to get an ego boost, distract everyone from the disaster, to delight the masses with a heaping dose of revenge. That's not how you bring about total victory. It's how you acquire the mark of Cain. Wow. Poetic. You like that use of analogy there?
Yeah, that's nice.
Or what would you call that in English?
What, Mark of Cain?
No, like that kind of expression.
Comparison, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
Say it again? I don't.
It's not an analogy, but you know,
Yeah.
when you use that kind of language, it's very nice.
Oh,
I don't know.
simile.
A simile?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or a metaphor.
Simile, metaphor. And as the mountain of Palestinian corpses and ruined home grows and grows, so does the mark of Cain on Israel's forehead. Oh, is this a biblical thing where
Yeah, that's metaphor.
Cain got a physical mark on his head after he kept committing sins?
Oh, maybe. I don't remember.
Can you look that up?
I thought it was on his arm or something.
And look up the mark of Cain, because that's interesting.
I know about Ham, but Cain? I don't remember.
When we reached tens of thousands of victims, more than half of them children and women, Israel joined the club of the ostracized, the branded, leprous countries, a target of outrage, protests and sanctions, a country unwelcome in polite society.
Yeah, it's in Genesis.
Today we cannot even dream of total victory, or any victory, arising from this evil, or even more so from this stupidity. And the pinnacle of grotesqueness is that the Jewish state, which has been angry for years about how silent the cruel world was during the Holocaust, is now demanding loudly that the world keep quiet and not interfere in our work. This is one of the best articles I read on the whole thing. All right, we got the other one?
No.
Well, let me search it up since you hacked into this thing. What was it? What was this one called? Chaim Levinson, the author?
This one. Hold on. Is it by the same person?
Ah, here it is.
Found it.
Good. I have it here. Oh, but I have to subscribe. Oh, jeez.
You already subscribed.
Here, fix this.
Yeah. Change. Try to do that.
I knew you were a barista. I didn't know you were a hacker
I
too.
do a lot of things.
MashaAllah.
They say the mark of Cain, it is not known what the mark was.
It is not known what the mark of Cain was.
But
Okay.
it's assumed that it was visible.
Yeah. And why are we even looking for a source anyway when there's no?
But
But
there's no study for this.
I would want to know at least what their belief about it is.
They didn't know what it was, so they just decided it must be some mark on the armor face. But it could be a metaphor.
So the mark of Cain is a metaphor, or actually may have happened that his sin was represented by a mark on his body that kept growing with his disobedience and his sin. Very interesting. Very interesting. While you look that up, let's talk about the Iran business. Again, we did already talk about it, but Iran was attacked. Their embassy was attacked.
Oh, they were attacked. Okay.
Yeah. Their embassy in Damascus was attacked by Israel.
Oh.
They then attacked with a symbolic, meaningless, just save face attack. What do I mean by that? I mean by that when the military announces in 72 hours we will be attacking you. What is this? 3 days, Eslim Teslam or something, right? You're already at war. You don't need to do this, right?
Did they have to ship it or like?
They already attacked you. So they're doing the 3-day thing when they don't need to.
Yeah.
But they're doing the 3-day thing because essentially you're telling them we're coming. And just like after Trump killed Soleimani, they said we're going to attack this site right here in, 12 hours. So what did the Americans do? Everyone remove all the valuables from there and everyone leave. And they come in, they drop a bomb. They're able to tell their citizens, we attacked, we punched back. Same thing here. Very minimal damage is done. Okay. Very minimal. And you actually gave them an excuse to attack you back. Right? In front of the world, Israel will not be barbaric at this point when they attack back. So this was not good. This made no sense. Yeah. As Sayyidina Umar said, and this is because you don't believe in Sayyidina Umar. إِذَا ضَرَبْتَ فَأَوْجِعْ. Umar ibn Khattab, if you hit, make it hurt. Why? Because otherwise it's meaningless. Right?
Yeah.
Sayyidina Umar famously said, إِذَا ضَرَبْتَ فَأَوْجِعْ. What kind of hitting is not allowed. The hitting that breaks the skin or the bones, not allowed in Islam. But to hit someone and hurt them for a reason, for a valid reason, it's allowed. If you're the state, for example, it's punishment of some sort, right? For example, Sayyidina Umar, he had many ta'ziri punishments. Ta'zir, okay? Ta'zir is when something, a sin or an abuse of somebody else, these are the two conditions. It's sinful or it's an abuse, public sin, or an abuse of another person, oppression, is not listed in the Sharia as a hudud punishment, as a had crime. So the ruler establishes his own crime, his own punishment. So he may hit. In some of the madhabs, he may not go past or equal to the least had punishment, but not in the Maliki school. Yeah, not in the Maliki school. Some Malikis in Egypt rule by that. But the answer is that there is no limit. It may be death even. Some things may be so bad you have to kill the person. Like what? Maybe a drug dealer. Like what harm is he doing to the society by dealing heroin and bringing heroin in? He's doing so much harm. So maybe you would have to execute him. So the Malikis are the most lenient on this. But point being, Umar ibn Khattab says, إِذَا ضَرَبْتَ فَأَوْجَعْ. If you do hit somebody, make it hurt. It doesn't make any sense to do a symbolic hit on somebody because the world sees that you hit him. But he didn't learn a lesson because it didn't hurt. And now you basically watered down your punishment completely. It means nothing now, right? And now you give him a right to hit you back, as Iran did. This is like a sprinkling of whatever, very light bombing, right? But now Israel has an excuse. They have a justification to hit you back. All right, so this one says here, Chaim Levinson. This is the article everyone was sharing. April 11th. We've lost. Truth must be told. The inability to admit it encapsulates everything you need to know about Israel's individual and mass psychology. There is a clear, sharp, predictable reality that we should begin to fathom, to process, to understand, and to draw conclusions from for the future. Okay. It's no fun to admit that we've lost, so we lie to ourselves. Some of us maliciously lie. Others innocently lie. It would be better to find solace in some airy carb with a total victory crust. Okay? But it might just be a bagel. I'm sort of lost on those analogies, but I get his point. When the solace ends, the whole remains. There's no way around it. The good guys don't always win. Hey, Omar, can you please turn the AC on? Yeah, it's a little bit hot here. The remote's right there. Okay. My favorite book is Love in the Time of Cholera. Okay. It feels good all over to think that even after 51 years, 9 months, and 4 days, okay, Florento Ariza will consummate his love with Fermina Daza. Gabriel Garcia Marquez was a fabulous writer, but letters don't always reach their destination. Sometimes beautiful love is cut short, painful and bleeding until death arrives. That's life. Sometimes there's a good ending, but quite often there isn't. Wars are like that too. Okay, he waxed a little bit too poetic for me here. Let's get to the point. After half a year, we could have been in a totally different place, but we're being held hostage by the worst leadership in the country's history and a decent contender for the title of worst leadership anywhere ever. Every military undertaking is supposed to have a diplomatic exit. The military action should lead to a better diplomatic reality. Good point. Israel has no diplomatic exit. It has a scoundrel for a leader, someone with no capacity for leadership or decision making, a person who loses his sense of good judgment over a free cigar. Yet the electorate puts its faith in the current prime minister, all right, to the tune of 32 Knesset seats. Theoretically, we could have been in a better place. The shock of the outbreak of war could have been a starting point for a swift, powerful, aggressive, eminently justified campaign to quickly root out Hamas wherever that was possible. It could then have been replaced by a coalition of countries with money and good intentions to carry out reconstruction, with global and Arab backing, along with the Palestinian Authority, we could have created a viable alternative to Hamas in Gaza. He's right. Right? After 6 months, they're already, like putting myself in their shoes, they could have handled this and made, had a great result for yourself, right? By getting the international community on your side, right? Getting the Arabs on your side and say, listen, we're not going to take away. But the thing is, they wanted to take Gaza themselves. Yeah. So they had different intention. Okay. After 6 months, there already might have been the first sign of independent government there. Every day and every minute, better decisions would have been made. But that's whom we elected, a suit with a person attached. We can't say it, but we've lost. People have an inclination to believe in the best and be optimistic, hoping that tomorrow will be okay, that we are in a process that in the end will be more successful. That's the most fundamental failure of human thought. The notion that the direction we are taking is a good one, that we just need to get there already. That in just a little more time, with a little more effort, the hostages will be returned. Yeah, let me try. Hamas will surrender and Yahya Sinwar will be killed. After all, we're the good guys and good will always triumph. Yeah, maybe the curtain.
It's the curtain, yeah.
It's the same mentality that leads to the notion the Iranian regime will soon implode and other notions that have more to do with Hollywood scripts than life itself. They're not the truth, and it relates to sometimes to something that's uncomfortable. After all, it's uncomfortable telling the public the truth. Oh, there's more. My conclusion as a journalist from October 7th is that what's uncomfortable is the most dangerous thing for our security and our future here. That being addicted to feeling good is itself what's dangerous. That's what happens to spoiled nations and spoiled kids, the addiction to feel good.
Yeah, a lot of the soldiers right now, they're talking about ecstasy, about the war. Like Israeli soldiers, they have like genuine ecstasy about the war. Like they want it so bad, like it's like a craving.
Really?
Yeah. There's an article I saw.
Ajib.
To read it yet.
Well, it's like they've been trained, like they've been indoctrinated.
Yep.
From early age. Even people outside of Israel, but definitely when they're there. I mean, there's a reason why they call it they call the Philistines animals. Like it's a lot easier to kill animals than it is to kill humans. So they've been trained to get excited about the war.
Yeah.
It's surprising that now it's like
to get them to do that, you have to dehumanize your enemy. We need to stand up to Bibi. It's propaganda machines, even if attack dogs are sniffing at our crouch. If on October 1st, someone had said that the chief military intelligence was incompetent, that military intelligence could plan successful operations but was incapable of providing a warning about a coming war, that the Shin Bet was dozing, and that we were about to get a whooping of our lives, such a person would have been perceived as crazy, defeatist, and out of touch. Certain politicians would have called for such a person to be charged with the spreading of false news. There were so many signs that this military was in bad shape, but we wouldn't see them because we believe things are all right. It's unpleasant to say, but we may not be able to safely return. There's a typo here. Return to Israel's northern border. All right. Hezbollah has change that equation to its own benefit. That's a situation where we constantly tell ourselves about an imaginary deadline, April, May, September, and if Hezbollah keeps it up until then, we'll give it a thorough shellacking. The deadline keeps being pushed back and back and back. The border region remains empty. The deceit continues. There now seems to be a high probability that for years, anyone driving along the border will be a target. Okay? Tel Hai will fall again. And that's true on every front. Not all hostages will return, either alive or dead. The whereabouts of some are lost, and their fate will remain unknown. They'll be like the Downs Air Force navigator, Ron Arad. Their relatives will go around sick with worry, fear, and apprehension. Will launch balloons in their memory. And he goes on for a couple more paragraphs, but you get the point. Don't need to read the rest of it. Let's read the comments, actually. Okay. IDF is literally a force of occupation, implementing collective punishment. Prescient observations. Boo-hoo for Israel, not a word about the 35,000 dead for Palestinians. right? So typical whenever Israeli journalists tries to point out Israel's weakness and failings in order to bring about the change, the anti-Israel, anti-Zionist contingent use it as a weapon. Okay. Another person says you're actually lost. All right.
You actually meant
Yeah.
this page.
Yeah.
They post a link for their bank account.
So very good. Let's go to Q&A. Open QA. Thank you very much. We skipped one session, which was our the segment on the Prophet's relatives. So we'll read that again. We'll read that another time. Where's the iPad, brother? I have it here. All right, read me something.
Someone's asking what's the name of the article that we were reading.
We just I just closed it, but it was called Israel has been defeated, I think.
The one we just read.
Yeah.
Was saying what can't be said.
Saying what can't be said was the name of the article. And I only read about 2/3 of it.
Someone's asking, Salam, how should one prioritize study between learning tajweed or studying Aqidah and then fiqh?
Prioritizing studying and learning, the answer to that is that you need to study, the first thing that you need to study is Aqidah. That's the first thing that you have to study, right? You have to study Aqidah, number one. The second thing that you have to study, and you have to know well, is tajweed. You have to know how to pray, and you have to know the rules of tajweed for that reason. Well, of course, before that, I should say, is your fard ayn regarding tahara and salah. When I say study Aqidah, I mean the fundamentals. When a person enters Islam for the first time, let's say, they got to understand the basic 6 pillars of faith. Then they learn how to pray, tahara and salah. And after that, tajweed, how to pronounce what you need. What's the ruling on Arabic? You're obligated to learn to pronounce what you must say in prayer. Okay? And then after that, let's say now you're a student of knowledge, I would prioritize Aqidah before expanding into the matters of fiqh that is not fard ayn. So you need to know your fard ayn. If you have money, you need to know zakat first. If you have money to go to Hajj, you need to know that, right? If you praying, fasting, all that, you need to know those things first. If you're married, you need to know what makes you married, what makes you divorced. After that, I would say Aqidah comes next. Okay, and I'm thinking to make ArcView Plus solely a track in Aqidah.
Really?
Yeah, like just purely Aqidah.
Aqidah is the
Aqidah is theology and beliefs, for those who don't know.
That's the science that's the easiest to get far in English.
Yeah.
Everything else, you need Arabic at a certain point.
Correct.
We were
Correct.
talking about this yesterday.
Yep.
For me personally, like, what's the path? And you described it perfectly.
Yeah.
The ArcView Plus being straight up that wouldn't hurt.
Aqidah is very important. Yeah,
But you got too many cool courses on ArcView
I know.
Plus already.
We'll keep them there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep them there. We keep them there, and it doesn't hurt to have electives here and there.
Yeah.
But essentially, will be a course in it will be a track, and I want to bring back the curriculum that's used between Al Azhar and Syria,
Yeah, that's good.
right? And it's probably going to take 3 years, I would say.
To
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
To get it start going.
But I want to have one Arabic track and one English track.
That's good.
An Arabic track and an English track.
Yeah.
2 teachers. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? And they take their students, and the students have to apply. And you're ready to be the student of this shuyukh, and you're going to give that commitment to finish this curriculum.
How
Right.
strong are the prerequisites to get in?
Well, for English, the prerequisite is to have taken a Tahawi course.
Cool.
Oh,
That's it.
easy.
For English.
That's it.
Yeah. For Arabic, it's to have taken Tahawi and to know how to read Arabic.
Yeah.
And then it'll take you from book to book to book to book to book over the course of 3 years.
Nice.
And I would say between 2 and 3 meetings a week. Maybe 3 meetings a week,
Online in person.
and only 40 minutes a meeting.
What about Mantiq?
It's all online.
It's like, I'm assuming you guys are going to be Ashari. Not Hanbali, so you gotta get
Mantiq, logic, Mantiq can be an elective, like a summer elective, right?
You do need mantiq though, Shaykh.
Yeah, at
You
a
do
certain
need
point with
mantiq.
Kalam, you need
Yeah,
Mantiq.
like at a certain point, you do need that. Yeah.
But if you're only getting
I'll say
to
early on, actually.
You could do it as a summer elective. It won't even be elective. It'll be a necessary part of the program.
Like you can't like so if you look at a lot of these books like Sharh al-Kubra,
Yep.
obviously that's like the higher levels.
Yep.
You look at Wusta even. You look at all these books
Even
like
Barahin.
Yeah.
Barahin, yeah, but Barahin's like a primer. But
Yeah.
when you go higher into the tartib of kalam, like
Mhm.
you won't understand anything if you don't know mantiq.
100%.
Because the way that they're discussing in these books, these masail, they assume that you know like all these different points of mantiq.
Yep.
So like Burhan,
100%.
like this is like istithna, all these different points.
Idris Ali says he's totally down with it.
Doesn't mean Eddie can go.
Huh?
Okay.
Idris Ali.
All right. What other questions do we have here? Read me the Insta.
So someone was asking before, let's see, Sayyidi Shaykh, tell us about your time studying with Sayyidi Shaykh Salek bin Siddina.
Okay. I'll answer that one. But first, Klazi and Joseph say, I don't think it's a meaningless attack because they hit them financially. Maybe. Yeah, could have. Yeah, maybe. Studying with the Mauritanians in general, I'll tell you, was a pleasure for me. And it's something that I did with 3 Mauritanian scholars. Okay. The first is Sheikh Salek. The second was Sheikh Talib Al-Qalqami in Washington, D.C. And he's the one I spent most time with, one-on-one, directly. And the third was not so much time, but Sheikh Abdurrahman son of Murabat al-Hajj. And it was enough that we were on a basis where we would go visit their house.
Okay.
Right, yeah, and we would have dinner with them, and then we would read books after that with their family. So we were on good terms with their family. But he probably doesn't remember us because it was a short period of time. It was not a long. It was only a few visits to Spain that we did this, and it was a lot of phone calls. And this was way back in 2004, 2005.
Wow.
Yeah, those 3 years I was in England. So, but what I love about them is that it feels to me that those Mauritanians were very, very pure. Like you can tell the difference between a pure person and a type of city slicker person who may be pure in intention and pure-hearted, but by making himself pure,
Yeah.
as opposed to actually being totally innocent. Like you can tell when you're with someone who's totally innocent,
Yeah.
right? And you could tell with someone who's working on himself to become pure. That's what I felt from Sheikh, from the Mauritanians, right? I felt from them that these were a people who truly were pure, and I actually felt like their knowledge was so powerful because they memorized everything.
Yeah.
We belittle memorization here. We don't take it seriously. And you ask one of them a question, he doesn't give you a summary. He doesn't give you, let me go get the book. He doesn't just give you he cites the text,
Yeah.
right?
Sheikh Murabit Isa, when we went to Medina, he was like, we had a short time with him, but I don't know if you remember Sheikh, that he was just teaching us about Aqidah, and he was reading off Barahin, I think.
From memory.
Yeah, I remember he was reciting the matan from his head. Like the way I know he was reciting the matan.
He was reciting al-Barahin on the section of the obligations of Nubuwwah, yeah. Ilahiyat and Nubuwwat from memory. So
Back in the day when in Dar Mustafa, when they were gonna have a Maliki track or like a Maliki teacher there, they got one of the Mauritanians. He was gonna come. So before he went, his preparation was like he just memorized all the Shafi'i fiqh books. He just went through it, and he's like, okay.
Ajib,
Well, those people are
subhanallah.
ulama. Like, because when you memorize a text, this is the thing I noticed. Like, now you have the entire book in your head.
Yep.
And then when the sheikh is explaining something, now you already have the text in your head.
Yep.
So you can do sharh of each thing in your head now, instead of focusing on the matan.
Yep.
So the matan is the basic thing. Now whatever the sheikh is saying, you just attach that to whatever it's in your head.
Let me tell you something else about memorization. When you repeat something over and over and over and over, the meaning can get unlocked.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Without any commentary. Like, now I understand what he's saying. Right? It's amazing. I felt they're very pure. That's the thing I love most about them. I felt that their education was not mixed or driven by political motives. Yeah. I have to say, unfortunately, in most of the Arab world, because these are urban cities, locations, they're urban areas, there's so much politics. That affects the rulings. It affects what they say about things.
Yeah.
It also creates ahzab amongst them.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are ahzab. Ahzab means groups. Group doesn't mean like a sectarian group. It just means like you may believe the same thing, but we don't like his judgment call on that. We disagree on a judgment call. Things got nasty, so our little groups don't talk anymore. And sometimes there's ill will between each other.
Yeah.
So why, if you want to be close to the fitrah, accept the fact that your heart hates fighting. And do what Habib Mashul Haddad said. Hold on a second, everyone. Hey, Malana. Yes. Alhamdulillah.
Take over.
Yes, we're going. We're going. Yes, we're going to confirm.
Give us some words.
Switch the mic.
Here, hold on. Talk to Malana about Qanun. So that's the thing where you sense a lot of angst inside you. You should accept that this is bad. And here's the trick. You cannot avoid this by being a pacifist. Many people, because, I hate disagreement amongst us, and we're Muslims, we shouldn't disagree. Right? That's totally true. But to become a pacifist and a moral relativist is the fastest way to increase your angst. That's not the solution. To become a pacifist and to become cowardly and to become a moral relativist is not the way to decrease that angst that's in your heart. Okay? The way to decrease the angst that is in your heart is simply to remember who's watching. Change your direction. Rather than trying to defend yourself and please yourself, focus on Allah. What does Allah want me to do in this situation? Allah wants me to speak the truth. He does not want me to have hatred in my heart. He does not want me to insult this person. Okay? He accepts for me to defend myself. Sometimes you have to defend yourself, right? And sometimes it's better not to depending on the situation. For example, if someone is trying to steal money from you, right, or push you out of a company or something, you have to defend yourself. If someone in the masjid who you have no business with is saying, I hate him so much, I don't like him, he, I don't know, he's a bad driver on the street, no loss there. You can defend yourself and you cannot defend yourself. That's the example we had. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq was being attacked in the masjid. And the Prophet was smiling. Then he decided, he was being attacked so badly, he decided to defend himself. Then the Prophet got up and walked out. The Prophet, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, walked behind him and said, "Oh, Master of Allah, is this a time to leave a friend?" He said, "When you were silent, the angels were defending you. When you were defended yourself, okay, then the shaitan got involved." So what's the difference? I think that the difference is the difference between like ird and mal. You should defend your body, your wife, your kids, your property, your wealth. But your reputation in a matter that does not affect you. Okay? You I think that is where it becomes mandub to let it go. Allah will defend you. Keep in mind, if you're a surgeon and somebody criticizes your surgery skills, that's essentially stealing from me. Right? But if you're a surgeon and someone criticizes your clothes, criticizes your billing practices, criticizes your office, criticizes your prices, that it doesn't affect your profession. You let it go. Nedban, as a recommendation. You can defend yourself. It's halal to defend yourself. As the Prophet says, can be at certain times will lead to more harm than good. So that judgment call has to be made. So you don't like infighting and that feeling, we should make it grow inside of ourselves. I remember when in Washington, D.C., I was with Talib al-Qalqami. Shaykh Talib al-Qalqami was a Mauritanian teacher of the Arabic language and a Shaykh and a scholar. Anyone educated above the age of 60 at that time was a Shaykh. Because what was the education? The education was Arabic grammar, Hifz al-Quran, Arabic grammar, all of Maliki fiqh, right? So he had brought the Shaykh to Washington, D.C. The ambassador of Mauritania had brought him over. And he said that he brought him to educate his kids, to be a personal tutor for his kids. So until 4 o'clock, when the kids came home from school, the Shaykh had nothing to do. I was like, SubhanAllah, Allah just put this right in my lap, right? And I was just a little bit infatuated with Mauritania at the time. So I went to the Mauritanian embassy when I got to Washington, D.C. I said, I want to see what it looks like. You know what it looks like? It's like a in nondescript building. This is the embassy, by the way. It's like a nondescript building. And it has you walk in and it has like the cheapest rug, the cheapest desk on the front steps or in the atrium, and there is a Mauritanian man wearing flip-flops, right? Sitting there. Right, this is the embassy. And I said, Assalamu alaikum, as if he's seen anyone in ages. So we started holding up having a conversation with him. I said, are there any Mauritanian shuyukh in the area I can study with? And he said, yeah, the ambassador. Now, the ambassador's house is very nice. That must be where he meets the other diplomats, right? The ambassador's house is down the road. Gorgeous house. So he said, the Shaykh goes from the ambassador's house. He walks to the masjid, beautiful masjid that the embassies all pitch in for, the Muslim embassies. I just call it the Washington Mosque. I don't know what it's called. Maybe Islamic Cultural Center of Washington. Gorgeous masjid. He says he prays every salah there. So just wait for him there. Of course, you'll know a Mauritanian when you see one. He came with a darra, right? The Arab clothes, right? Yeah. Came with the Mauritanian clothes. I recognize him right away. And I start striking up a conversation. And he treats me as if like he's known me all his whole life. That's why I say they're innocent. They actually don't... They probably never experienced these such ill will amongst strangers. So then I started studying Arabic with him. Right? I started studying Arabic with him. And every Tuesday and Thursday for an hour, we'd pray Dhuhr and then we'd take a walk. He would want to do it while walking. He'd give me the class while walking. Then he would give me the i'rab, and he'd give a line, I have to give him i'rab. That's how I learned. He'd give me a sentence, line of poetry or something, and I give the i'rab. That's how I learned.
Fun. I think those are like the most fun classes.
It was
just
the
like
best.
The i'rab line by line.
Line by line.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah, line by line.
They do that.
One time the Shaykh, he came in a pair of pants and a tuxedo shirt. And I said, MashaAllah, are you going somewhere? Is there like the diplomat coming or something? He said, no, the dara'a that he wore is being washed. So they gave me this shirt. It's a tuxedo shirt. He didn't know it was a tuxedo shirt. But anyway, point about it is that what I was saying is that at that time there was a DC killer, and the DC killer was a guy who was a sniper. Sorry, I think they called the DC sniper. And he would kill these people, but nobody would ever see anyone on the footage or anything. Nobody knew how these people were just dropping dead. It was freaky. People in, like, let's say a ShopRite parking lot. You hear bang, bang, and someone dropped dead. But the CCTV cannot find anyone, right, who was doing it. So guess what it was? It was two guys, and they had pushed out the keyhole of the car, the trunk. Right, and he was laying down, and he would pull the, you know where the used to be, there's a keyhole for the trunk. Yeah. He pulled that out, okay, fire, put it back in. Right, and he would kill people from the trunk of the car. Unfortunately, this man his parents were from, I believe, the Nation of Islam or something, I don't know what, and they named him a Muslim name. His name was John Muhammad, and this was right after 9/11. And me and there was two other brothers that would study with Sheikh Talib from time to time, and we said, unfortunately, it's a Muslim who did it. At least it's a Muslim name. The Shaykh, the idea that a Muslim would just randomly kill people, he laughed. He said, a Muslim la yaf'alu dhalik. A Muslim would never do such a thing. That's why I said that you get the vibe that these people are so clean and innocent and pure. That's the number one thing I loved about them. And the religious teaching was not, there were no strands of politics in it. Whereas if you go to the subcontinent, we know the kind of religious politics that's there. It's terrible, right? You just want deen and that's it. You want deen. But if we go to the subcontinent, we know that you have to pick a side between two warring religious parties. Yeah. If you go to Egypt, it's the same thing. There, if you have one minuscule moment of sympathy for anyone with an activistic agenda, you get labeled ikhwan. Right? And if you are involved in any way with the Asha'ira and the people of Tasawwuf, you will be labeled as a stooge of the government and a sellout. Right? It's terrible. That's what I hate about those political things. But so that's an answer to the brother's question of what was your life like or experience studying with these Mauritanians, the Mauritanian scholars. Yeah.
Sounds like DC was just Arabic for you.
DC was Arabic. No, Tasawwuf too. Shaykh Mohsen Najjar. Shaykh Mohsen Najjar was there he lived there for a while. Yep. No, he's Egyptian, Badawi. Yeah, go ahead. All right, let's take a rapid fire now that we got long-winded here.
What does Maliki, Shafi, and Hanbali fix about qisas when Muslim kills a non-Muslim?
المسلم لا يقتل بالكافر. I'm not even going to translate it. Hey, listen.
يكفي.
Yeah, listen.
إذا فهمت.
Citizens are not treated like non-citizens in America. Right or wrong? Okay. Are you planning to eat this chicken? This chicken, I told you, I like to get close to nature. But it's a rental.
You know, it's funny enough. Every
Yeah.
time there's an animal that comes here, it's always white in some sense.
Yeah.
Remember? The cat, the goat, and the chicken.
What? Tell me about the cat again. Remind me. Othman's cat.
It's grayish white.
Yeah.
I don't know what message Ali was trying to send
always
there to
right.
the people, but
All right. What about looking at women that are digital? In other words, AI, fully AI. Of course, it's haram. It's haram. Okay. Now, if you ask the question, is it as haram as looking at the real thing? At that point, Allah knows best, but I believe that it would be looking at, I'm not going to say that AI is less haram. I'm going to say that's more haram. Because the more you say it's less haram, as if, oh, it's makruh, so I can look at AI images of women. Yeah. No, I'd say why? Because it affects your heart, right? If you want to know if something's haram, ask yourself if you are looking at your iPad in front of noble people, right? Your mom, your dad, righteous people, good people, your father-in-law. Would you be embarrassed or would you click off real
you
quick?
can't use the family anymore. I know people
They have no
watch Game
shame?
of Thrones with their family.
Oh, gee.
They talk about like, oh, I was with my parents, and they're the ones feeling awkward, not the parents.
Yeah. Joseph, I said al-Muslim لا يقتل بالكافر. Not يقتل, يقتل. Let's get the exact line. Very big difference. لا يقتل بالكافر. Okay. Let's go to باب القصاص. Just في أقضية الحدود, page 166, رسالة ابن أبي زيد, just to get you the exact wording of it. Okay. القسامة. Hey, Sohaib, why don't you look it up for us? Just the exact line. It should be there. Joseph said, I just started Arabic. Sorry. No problem. You know what? You should, since we're on this, go to ArcView and study with Sheikh Mehdi Lak. Mehdi Lak is Russian. He's a Russian by origins, but never lived in Russia.
Taking the classes right now?
He is passionate about Arabic. That's why he cares about his students. When I brought someone on to take care of the Arabic program, I said, I want someone who cares about his students.
You really need, and this is what I noticed with Arabic, like, you really need a sheikh that to do like musahaba with, in a sense. Like, every time you have a question, like, you just ask him, you text him, you bother him every time, and you know that he'll answer your questions. Because, like, Arabic is one of those things, like, language in general is one of those things where, like, when you have a group setting, One
It's
person
easy.
might be on a completely different level of understanding.
Yeah.
One person might not get anything.
That's true. Yeah.
So you need
Arabic, you need to have a camaraderie in Arabic, and the people who know a little bit better become like TAs.
Yeah.
In a sense.
You just start speaking it too.
Exactly. Can we play Assassin's Creed? Says the brother. I really don't know what's in it. I've never played it before. I'm clueless about it. All these video games.
It's from Islamic origin.
It's
Yeah.
very Islamic origin, but it's basically in the name title.
Yeah,
itself.
the title, yeah.
Based on Nizar, it's Ismailis, the Hashash.
Yeah, Hashashin.
Everything's there.
The early ones were just history based.
Yeah, it was basically like.
But what do you do in the game?
Kill people.
Assassins.
You just kill people.
Yeah. In like
But they're
moments
bad.
in history.
But you kill Christians.
Huh?
You kill Christians.
You're a Muslim. You're like a quote unquote Muslim.
You're not.
It's never said that you're Muslim. Like,
You're kidding me.
No, dude, the whole like main franchise game, you're like an Italian dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you're.
You kill the
Muslim.
Crusaders.
The first one you are.
yeah, the first one you're.
I didn't play after the second one. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Some people have what different fuqaha say about killing people in video games. I don't play video games at all. I have no clue what they are, except that everyone loves Assassin's Creed and Game of Thrones. I mean, Grand Theft Auto, GTA. That I know. And I was just fooled by a GTA clip.
Actually,
Yeah, recently, I guess to advertise how good their graphics are, they put out a video on a car chase.
Allahu Akbar.
Right? Like, check out this crazy car chase. Guy eludes cop. So this basically shows this black Jeep. In the beginning, it's like a normal car chase, but then he starts going literally vertically up a mountain. Like, what is going on here? Yeah.
What section am I looking for?
Qisas. Look at the qisas of a Muslim kills a kafir. What about editing photos, specifically color grading and manipulating images? There's nothing wrong with that, provided it is not intended, whether it's intended or the unintentional consequence of fooling somebody, misleading somebody who may invest themselves into that and then regret it later on. What do I mean by that? Let's give an example. You Photoshop a picture of yourself and then you put that online, and then you get to know a sister and the sister gets to know you, and you're on this whatever app, and all of a sudden she loves you, right? And you got her emotionally attached to you, and she keeps looking at your profile picture all day, but she never thought, hold on, why doesn't he ever video call? Right? And then you go bring your family to go visit her, her family, and then all of a sudden she's like, where is he? Because you look so different. So you got her emotionally attached to a falsehood. That's where it doesn't matter if your intention is good. Certain things, your intention doesn't matter. If the damage is done, it's done. Joseph said that's called being catfished. Yes, hashtag catfished. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And we all know of a poor football player whose career essentially was derailed, although he did play a couple years in the NFL, because he got catfished. And it's not expected when you're a player like that, when you're a football player and a captain of the defense and a linebacker and a killer and a gangster on the field, to get catfished. And that's exactly the idea here. Okay. Huh? Oh, we got yens. Wow, interesting. What's the plural of yen? Yen. Can we address a convert, revert, however you want to say it? It doesn't matter to me. It's both. I think the both of them are fine, but I have to say that it's not correct to say people are born Muslim. The Prophet said people are born upon the fitrah, the natural inclination, and Islam fits perfectly with the fitrah, with the natural inclination. Yet, it didn't say you're born Muslim. Then it says, then his parents alter his fitrah through Judaism or Christianity. Okay? and
Islam.
يهودانه أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه.
Yeah, you mentioned saying
Yeah.
أظن في رواية Islam.
Oh, check it and see. So let's talk about that hadith for a second, real quick. What does it mean that they make him a Jew? Is it just that they teach him Jewish doctrine? No, it's not that what it is. Because the hadith is about the fitrah, the nature of the person. Okay? The nature, when the Jew, just saying that the theology of these beliefs alters your inner nature. So what does that mean? I'll give you an example. When you are constantly told you are the chosen people, you are superior to everybody else. God chose you, right? Regardless of what you do, by the way. If you stop practicing Judaism at all, you're still a Jew, right? If you stop even believing in God, you're still a Jew. If you curse Moses, you're still a Jew. If you don't believe in the Torah, you're still a Jew. So you're still chosen. It's absolute. Does that not breed an arrogance in somebody? So that's the changing of the nature. Kibr, arrogance. How about this? You are told from day one, the world is out to get the Jews. From day one, we're at any minute, a society can come and eradicate us. They're all, I don't know, jealous of us. They hate us. It's our destiny to be tested. It's our destiny that people hate us. That's the religious view.
That's what kids are hearing right now.
So now this person is going to have anxiety. Non-stop anxiety. So you have an upper and a downer. The arrogance is an upper. The anxiety is a downer. It's almost as if taking 10 sleeping pills and 5 nitros. You're in an upper and a downer. You're going to mess yourself up. And you are going to be in a bad state when you do that. How about Christianity? Christianity has 2 issues that truly affect a person, which is number 1, you take a little kid to church and you say, look at this beautiful man who's on the cross. That's the Son of God. Oh, why is he on the cross? Who terrible person did this? Oh, God did it. Why? Because of your sins. What? Whoa. What's going on here? Why would a God do that to his son? Dad, would you do that to me? Right? And wait, he's doing it because of my sins? So when I kicked Bobby and the playground, you contribute. And that's what they teach. I'm not kidding you. This is what they teach in churches. They teach that. I'm telling you from a Catholic or from a Christian directly. They told me that we were taught in church that every sin you commit is like adding a nail to the nail crown of Jesus. So wait a second. That messes you up, right? We say لا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. Your sin affects you only, and no one else's sin is counted against you. Thank you. Now on top of that, how do I get saved? Right? Just believe. Wait a second. What do I do? Nothing. Jesus died for your sins. So hold on a second. He died for my sins. So what do I do? And wait, why do I have original sin? Because Adam ate from the tree. So because Adam and Eve ate from the tree, I'm sinning. Then Jesus gets crucified. Now I'm free. Yeah. Where am I in this picture? Your willpower is out of here. Gone.
A lot of Christians to this day, like kids that grew up with, like, oh, I can commit sins because Jesus already died for my sins, so it doesn't make a difference anymore.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
That's how it is. Now the Christians, we basically, Waqas post this. Fine, go ahead, post it. Because Christians are going to be all over the timeline now. The chat. The comments section. Okay? Christians will be all over the comments section.
You can go like really deep with this, but one thing I wanted to bring up, like that irks me about these conservatives, these Christians, is they don't realize that Christianity is basically what brought liberalism about. Yeah. And they don't want to accept it. Maybe they don't understand what that means. But the Protestant Reformation is directly responsible for people like John Locke, for people like John Stuart Mill, who like took from John Locke, and all these liberal philosophers. It's because of Christianity. It's like stemming from Christianity that you guys have these liberal.
You know what's interesting too is that America was established by Christian heretics. All of the founding fathers are heretics in relation to actual Christianity. Benjamin Franklin was openly doubting whether or not there's a God. Israel is founded by Jewish heretics. Isn't that interesting? Right?
I mean, the founding fathers directly took from John Locke. Like, he influenced him directly for the Declaration of Independence, the whole idea of liberty and freedom, doing whatever you want away from the government. It's liberal philosophy right there.
All liberal philosophy is established by Christian heretics. And why Christian heretics, they wanted that is because they need to hedge themselves. They need to protect themselves. So promote this before people know what you actually believe. And on top of that, a false religion is rules and work and hard work with no benefit. No actual spiritual benefit. The only spiritual benefit that you have from these other religions is the name of God. Allah himself honors that when he says, يُذْكَرُ فِيهَا اسْمُ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا. And his mention of it is like recognition that that's what the only thing that's good. The name. They got the name right. That's pretty much it. That's it. The name Allah. Even Arab Christians say Allah. Can we address a revert Muslim via his full name like Adam Brooks or just Adam? Do dua mentioning only his Muslim name or full name? Whatever he calls himself. Right? If the man stays with the name Adam Brooks, if he changes his name to Sulaiman, whatever he calls himself, we call him that. Is it more correct to do sajdat al-shukr? Sajdat al-shukr is to do 2 prostrations as soon as you hear good news, and that is permitted and rewardable in a number of schools of thought, interpretations. It's a matter of interpretation, first of all, we have to say that. At the Maliki school, you pray 2 rakahs, but not 2 sujud. What do you study?
No, for Hanafi, it's like to full. Like,
2 rakahs. Yeah. It's not 2 just prostrations. No. Akil says every ism is birthed out of Christianity. All these Western isms. Can I study philosophy that contradicts Islam just for the sake of knowledge? Only if you have studied and are firmly established in the study of Aqidah. Okay.
This is actually something that
The
destroys
Islamic
people's
theology.
iman. And studying this kind of philosophy, because
it does.
You don't understand any of it, and you just think it sounds nice.
Yeah.
And then you fall into your mind runs wild if you don't have a background in Kalam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to have a background in Kalam.
but eventually, it is actually kind of it gets beneficial to study these things. When you're really thabit in Kalam.
Mm-hmm. And you only can study this if there is a threat of it, or B, the need to refute it. So did you see any nas in there? Because I know the ruling. The ruling is al-kafir la yuqtal, al-muslim la yuqtal bi-kafir. Hanafi fiqh differs though. Hanafi fiqh does not separate between who is the victim of a murder. You will get executed either way. And the Muslim will owe a diyah. Yeah. No, they got so many of them in their country, that's why. Yeah. Yeah.
This is, I don't think they deal with it. It's like for the mat, it just talks about like killing like zindiq or fasik or these types of things. It doesn't talk about kuffar. I think kuffar, it just assumes it's gonna be jihad.
What about had, the hudud chapter? I haven't read this chapter in Risala in years. That's why.
That's what I was at. So when it gets to the hudud, it just talks about like hudud like for Muslims.
Yeah.
For killing Muslims.
Yeah. Hapti Mel says, is it considered drawing since we are changing the photo of Allah's creation? No, it's not like that. Editing a picture. You take a photo of somebody and improve the way the photo looks. No, again, in itself, that's not forbidden. It's if it will lead to a harmful misunderstanding, such as a person who uses that further thingy and gets married on that basis. And there are people, I'm sure, who aren't they're not gonna be cautious, and they'll think that person looks like that, and they won't ask, and they may fall in love with that person and then travel over to meet her, right? And then find himself having to have a very awkward conversation after that. There was an even more crazy instance in which a man married a beautiful woman, and all their children came out very unsightly, to the point that he started doubting if he's the father, right? Because I don't look like this, you don't look like this. Well, it turns out that she had 3 plastic surgeries. She had completely changed the shape of her mouth, her nose, and her jaw, right? And her cheekbones. That's who he married. That's who he thought his kids would be. Oh, wow, my kids are going to have a perfectly straight nose, high cheekbones, and a nice square jaw. No.
To get married on that basis, not to tell afterwards.
You can't. You have to tell the person because you will produce genetic offspring from that. Let's say a woman sinfully did those surgeries. The man has a right. All right, you sinfully did it. Khalas, you make tawbah. That's it. We're not going to say go under the knife again and ruin it. Yeah. Khalas, you did your sin. Okay. But the man does have a right to know what genetics he's marrying into, right? So you have to show him the original picture. So he sued her. Yeah, this was in London.
Muslim.
No, Chinese.
Well, he should have expected that.
He sued her.
Yeah. We're in the jelly times. My friend is a plastic surgeon, and like he would tell me like the percentages of because he's like he also did research.
Yeah.
He did a research degree too, so he knows like the proportions of people. Now it's like insane numbers. It's like more than 50% of some demographics are doing some kind of plastic.
I think that plastic surgery will someday be one on every block.
Yeah, I think it's already there.
It's already happening.
We're getting there. Yeah.
The men too. The men are
Turkey.
putting like all the fillers the men are getting. Everybody's got chin implants, jaw. They got calf implants. The guys are getting calf.
No, that's
In
terrible.
California, it's like a normal thing now.
Oh, in California, they're all about image because of the whole Hollywood influence. That's terrible. That is terrible. What is somebody asking about Shaykh Asrar Rashid? I shouldn't read it. Okay, I'll trust your judgment there. Can you do Sadaqa Jariya for a living person? No. Sadaqa, I believe, from what I remember on this mas'ala, Sadaqa Jariya is for someone deceased. However, I believe there's ikhtilaf on the madhabs. We should look it up before we give a definitive qawlun fasl. Okay. Can you close our eyes during sujud? In general, it's makruh to close your eye in salah. Makruh, lightly discouraged, simply because it's not the action of the companions or the Prophet, and salah is tawqifi. Salah is something that is just as it is without any discussion. Just how the Prophet prayed, that's how we pray, and that's it. There's no using any kind of logic around it because it's a ritual. There's no logic around it. It's just that's how the Prophet prayed. We're not going to add or subtract anything. It's the same reason why you cannot have a woman leading Jummah. If it had happened in the time of the Prophet, we'd do it, right? But it didn't.
So one of the isharat that people gave was that every part of the body benefits from salah. So you want to keep your eyes open so that they're not bereft.
Subhanallah, to their eyes benefit from that. Play VRO says, why the Maliki school obligates female circumcision? It does not obligate it. Nor is it mandub. Rather, it is something less than that which is called a makruma. And that's in the Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd. And they say that is, if is in the society, that is deemed something good. And that it should not be too much so that her sexual pleasure is not removed. Like, you're not allowed to remove that, sexual pleasure.
Islamic circumcision for the women.
But it's not like what these people think circumcision is.
Yeah.
For them, they think it's cutting off the whole thing.
No.
Well, us, it's just like the idea is supposed to that it's supposed to increase the pleasure. It's not.
So the idea was to increase. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
So if it's
Ajib.
but now
I did
in
not know
Muslim countries, they don't have anything. In Yemen, it's really bad.
Ooh.
They just like remove the whole thing. So then like the woman can't have anything when she gets married.
That's not good for the man.
Yeah, so it's not good for anybody.
She's no need for him anymore, right? For the man, it's sunnah to do.
Yeah.
But for the man, the sunnah is lifted if there is no person to do it. That is a mahram.
Really?
Because this sunnah is not a justification to reveal your aura to a stranger.
Even for the baby.
No, for the baby is fine.
Okay.
For the baby or a child is fine too. But once he's baligh,
Yeah.
once he reaches bulugh, nobody can see his private parts now. Okay?
Like the
Except
European
for
convert.
his wife, right? Yeah, so let's say a convert comes and he's not circumcised. We actually talked about this before, right? Either he does it for himself or his wife does it for him. That's it. And by the way, I've seen it because my two sons. It's a little device, okay? And it's got rings on it. You pull the foreskin over that, okay? Of course, they put some local anesthesia all over it, and that which cleans it.
Why did you assume that wasn't there? He's like,
Yeah, he's losing.
On the go.
Yep. And then
before work.
there are these rings, and the ring like holds it down, and then they take a blade, right? And they just
Guideline.
there's a guide, exactly. There's a guideline so that even if the thing splits, it's not going to cut the rest of the member, right? And they just
At home.
no, they do it in the hospital, right? the cousins do it at home with their mouth, but we do it. They just do it in the hospital, and it takes literally no more than 45, 60 seconds. And then, of course, there is pain afterwards, but you have to keep putting ointment for about 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In Pakistan, you just get the local butcher. I'm not even joking.
Oh my
butcher?
God.
Like, seriously. You get the local butcher, you call him over, he doesn't.
Crazy.
Whoa.
What is a financial obligation does a man have if he's divorcing his wife?
Oh, alimony, all that type of thing.
This is from Realistic. The answer to the question is that for the 3 after the iddah is over, he owes her nothing. And he, of course, he owes his daughters and his sons. He has to pay for them, their food and their shelter. Now, there is a fatwa though, that the Andalusian scholars kept seeing these women on the streets. Why is that? Oh, my husband divorced me and I don't have any way to take care of myself. So the Andalusian scholars gave fatwa that this must be alleviated. That's what Shaykh Hatim al-Hajj and Amja, they use some concept like this to allow some degree of alimony if there will be a clear harm that this woman will live now completely destitute and that leads to fitna in the society. So that is a fatwa. And there's a difference between a ruling and a fatwa. A ruling is Allah's law. That there's that comes to us either by qat'i evidence or by the other sources of the Sharia. But a fatwa is in fact like a contravening of that law or a suspension of that law for a greater need. And this only allowed to be given by scholars who have a very high level of training and have been signed off as muftis. So you could read the Amja fatwa on alimony. As a ruling, he doesn't owe her anything, right? Go ahead.
A layperson believes, I guess, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is apart from Noor of Allah. He believes so because he considers it as the belief of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What is the ruling for such a person?
What do you mean the part of a Noor of Allah? Allah is not composed of light in the first place. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Ibn Abbas said he is the guide of those in the heavens and in the earth. He is what shows the truth, what leads to goodness. Do not imagine that Allah is composed of like light, because light is a thing, particles, waves, etc., whatever you want to call it. So Allah is not composed of anything.
We don't have adad or kathra or any of it.
Anything
no composition.
is not composed of anything. And so that's the first misconception we should remove. I also needed to clarify another misconception. When Allah says he blew in him from his spirit, it means the spirit that he created, not his spirit, as if there's a piece of Allah inside of every one of us. I can't tell you how many times I hear this. There's a piece of God inside of everyone because Allah blew into Adam from our spirit.
It's funny it defaults to that because the possessive, it's like, it's my book.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like it's part of me.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is another important thing we have to clarify. If Waqas can clarify, put that in a clip, that would be very useful. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, I blew in him from the spirit that I created, my spirit that I own and created. And when Allah attributes something to himself, it elevates the status of that thing. So we know the ruh is very important because Allah attributed it to himself. Okay. And so, but it is an independent creation. It is not as if God has a ruh and he blew part of his own self into Adam. That's incorrect. Right. So that's the first thing. Secondly, is the Prophet Noor? Of course. Is not the Prophet ﷺ a guide? Yeah. If Ibn Abbas says Allah Noor samawati wal ard, Allah is the guide of the heavens and the earth, is not the Prophet ﷺ a guide? Did not Allah say وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَدٍ? Allah is the guide of the hearts, and prophets guide people to how to worship Allah. That's the meaning of a prophet being a guide. If we say the Prophet is the guide, Hadi, it means that a Prophet ﷺ will guide you to the belief about Allah, the correct understanding of Allah, and how to worship Him. You have to do it yourself now. Then when you do it, then Allah guides your heart, right? And He guides you from act to act and situation to situation until you become a guided person, and your nafs changes, your ego changes. What about the physical light? Yes, the Prophet ﷺ, physical light, Noor, is something that Allah Ta'ala brings down upon people. It is a physical thing that Allah brings upon people, puts inside of people. It has a physical element. And sometimes the expression of that in the Quran is the word sakina. Okay. Who receives this sakina? Those who remember Allah best, those whose hearts are most pure. So who's going to have more Noor, most Noor? The prophets, no doubt about that. There is a physical Noor that is bestowed upon them. Okay. Did not the Prophet ﷺ make a dua? He said, oh Allah, put Noor in my heart, and Noor in my face, and Noor in my nerves, right? And Noor in my bones. So it is a physical thing. And the Quran even says, تَقْشَعِرُّ مِنْهُ جُلُودُهُم. Their skin itself like shudders in a good way, or softens in another tafsir. It softens, meaning they become very beautiful and soft. Their skin softens, meaning the stress is gone from their faces, right? From what talinu juluduhum, in another word, right? Their skin softens, and taqsha'ir, they shudder when this sakina descends upon them. Okay, and it's not the shuddering of fear, but the shuddering of it's a good shuddering, not a shuddering of horror.
Like a thrill.
Like a thrill, or like getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Almost, maybe you could say that is a better expression for it.
Yeah.
So it is a physical thing. Who's going to have more of that than anybody else? Sayyid al-Kawnayn. Prophet.
Someone's mentioning also, like, and this is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah says, قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. And then he's also, like, he's brought it up right now, someone in the chat.
The Mufassirin from, maybe even from the Sahaba.
He says Ibn Abbas.
Yes, Ibn Abbas. I remember that's in Qurtubi, by the way. Yeah. You could look it up in Qurtubi. The narration that it has come to you light, right? And Noor wa Kitab Mubin, and a clear book. The book is the Quran, the light is the Prophet. Okay. Does that doesn't mean we don't believe that he had flesh and blood. We believe he had flesh, right? But that flesh is what contains the light. Can you play Call of Duty? I don't even know what you'd be doing Call of Duty. It's a military game, right? That much I know. You know that some ulama said that you shouldn't shoot people in these wars because it gets you desensitized, and you can't do something haram in a war. Others said, no, what are you talking about? These aren't real people. So I never got into that discussion because I never have to worry about that. Does a woman have to pay back her mahr if she divorces her husband due to domestic violence or adultery? Lakes asked this question. If a woman divorces her husband for no valid legal reason, she just does not like him anymore, she pays the mahr back. If she has been aggressed upon and oppressed, mistreated, wronged, she does not need to seek the divorce from her husband. The judge in the Islamic court would separate between the two, and she keeps her dowry. Oh, sorry, I have to correct something. It's not just the dowry what she gives back. She gives back any amount of money that's agreed upon. If a woman seeks a khula', they come to an agreement on what amount of money.
The buyout.
Husband, hey, I didn't do anything. Husband is like, I did my job as a husband. Yes, you did your job, but I'm not happy anymore. Okay. You have to agree on a number in which he agrees to let you go. Why do we say that? Did you agree upon a number to marry you? Yeah. We call that the dowry. So it's not the same amount as the dowry. What if you both married each other, you were very poor, the dowry was $2,000. 20 years later, you're both doctors and surgeons, and $2,000 is what you earn in an hour, right? So, of course, $2,000 is not going to cut it. Now I'm going to lose my wife. I'm going to lose my kids. I'm going to lose this divorce. I'm going to lose my happiness. No, $2,000 doesn't cut it. We live in a home that's, $2 million. So, but the same principle applies, which is what? Agreement.
Yeah.
The principle of the dowry is agreement. The principle of the khura is agreement because the situation may have changed. So that's why that's what has happened. If in New York they have a Sharia board, we have to have a Sharia board NJ.
Yeah.
We have to have the Sharia board NJ. Okay? Because they use Maliki law, which states that in the absence of a Sharia court, the imams can separate between husband and wife. They do a process. They get 3 imams, 3 shiyukh. They look at the paperwork, the documentation. If he truly abused her in some way, shape, and form, they will pronounce a shari separation between them. We really need that. Lakes says there are 3 types of FGM, by the way. Now, this is something I have not researched, but maybe I should. Okay. Okay. Luna Anna says, read the Quran. Why you take the Quran lightly? You must not be talking to me. must be talking to somebody else. By the way,
he's never read the Quran. That's definitely
Janser says, don't use the ring method. It can clamp easily. Listen, let me tell you something. Everything we just said about the explanation was just my observation, not a prescription for you. Do not go and say NBF said, nothing but facts, and then I get paper served. Yeah. If I'm going to get served, no. Do not do it.
If you have your Amazon open, close it right now.
Yeah. Do not do it based on what I said. I just told you what I observed. Okay? So go seek professional assistance on this subject. Okay? Maybe Muslim women who married converts can take a class, can have a course. Maybe we can hold it as a course, and they could do the sunnah for their husbands.
That's a crazy final exam. That's
what are we supposed to say? Was it successful? Okay.
Do you have to retake the course at the end? That's the question.
You're gonna have to retake a lot more than the course if you fail. Bulauddin says, is the concept of charity allowed in Islam? Foundations and organizations. I mean, the operation of those org is funded from the charity money. Of course it is, right? But the question you should be asking is zakah used for this? And the answer to that is zakah has 8 categories that it could be given to. And merely running an organization is not one of them, unless the organization is a zakat distribution organization. Then you're one of, yeah. If you're a zakat distribution organization, you can run the whole org on zakah. The salaries, everything else can run on zakah. Yes. Number 2, the military. Right? Oh. The military of the nation is based on zakah. Okay. But let's say our soup kitchen here, which feeds non-Muslims, no zakah. Really? Yeah, we say zakah because zakah has to go to a Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay, couple more questions before we wrap up. Yep.
How to deal with low self-esteem and inferiority complex.
Low self-esteem?
And inferiority complex.
Oh. That's a big one. Take care of yourself inside and out, and remember who made you. Take care of yourself inside and out. If you feel bad feeling bad is relative, right? If you're hanging out with 5-star people and every single one of them goes to school, goes to work in the top of the line Mercedes, and your family has a Honda, there's no way, shape, and form you're not going to be affected by that. You're a human being, right? You will be affected. Every one of my friends comes in, top of the line, blacked out Mercedes. Next one, BMW. What's the look that they get these days? Where the paint isn't shiny. right?
Oh, Matt.
Matt, okay? All these things. And you come up in a car that is less than that. No doubt, you're inside yourself, a child may feel a little bit different, right? Let's say, hypothetically, the genetics that Allah created you with lacks the same as what other people are given. And this could happen in one family. In one single family, a very handsome son and a very not handsome son. Okay? This is bala. It's a tribulation. It's a test. So one of the things you have to do is you have to ask yourself, are you even giving yourself a chance? If you keep hanging out with a certain class of people and you're not from that, you may be harming yourself. So step out of those circles, right? And go to circles that is more similar to your circle. So that's really one of the fastest ways to change your self-esteem. Self-esteem, number one, is not a bad thing. Self-esteem just means, we should put it in Islamic terms, it's not feeling less than other people. That's not an Islamic term, right? But I was going to say rida. Rida bil qada. It's not feeling down about what Allah gave you. And the opposite of is shuhud al-minna, being very happy about what Allah gave you. Now, one of the techniques to get that is to actually take care of what Allah gave you. If you truly are witnessing, Allah gave me a ni'mah of my skin. All right, take care of your skin, right? So that means if you have a lot of acne, get it treated. This is not changing the creation of Allah. Anything that Allah naturally creates people with, which is like clean skin, you're allowed to go treat it. You can even get surgery for this if needed, right? To remove these spots or whatever acne people get. It's permitted for you to do that. Permitted to get braces if your teeth are crooked. Those are all halal things to do. If you're physically not confident about yourself, so do push-ups. Count calories, right? Taking care of your outside, if you have, by the way, some people don't care they're outside because they don't care. They don't have the sickness of low self-esteem, right? Some people are like that. So take it in context. In the context, someone who feels bad about themselves, take care of the ni'mah that Allah gave you, and Allah will give you more. It could be that you have low self-esteem because of financial purposes. Wake up early. Sell something. Get good at sales. The Prophet ﷺ said, rizq is distributed in the morning, and he said 9/10 of rizq goes to someone who's selling something. Or get any other job, or get an IT certification or something. So take care of yourself financially. Third thing, people could have all that, and they still have self-esteem issues. They still feel miserable about themselves. Why? They're not directed to Allah. They are directed to comparison. All of their mind is going to comparison. How do I weigh up against so-and-so? Well, who's counting? Where's the scoreboard for this? It's usually in his head or in the other person's head, right? Or in a third party's head who's comparing between the two. You need to break all these scoreboards. There's only one scoreboard that matters, scoreboard of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do I get that in my heart? Is A, remembering it, and B, remembering Allah much, doing a lot of dhikr. Remember Allah much until you never forget there's only one scoreboard. Why do I care what anyone thinks? There's one scoreboard. I'm telling you, when you have this in your heart, you never back down from anybody. When you have this in your heart, you never envy anybody. When you have this in your heart, you never feel down about anything, right? The only thing you should be down about is, did I put forth 100% or not? That's the only thing you should be down about, okay? I believe those are ways that you can take care of yourself, right? Now, a person may... What else? What is another reason why a person may feel down about themselves? Okay. Person may feel terrible about themselves because they can't seem to get a woman to marry them. Okay. I told you guys about a video that I watched, and a guy gives his testimony. He said that he is a normal guy. There's nothing wrong with him. He's physically normal. He's financially normal. He's college educated. He's socially normal. He has tons of friends. It just so happened in this guy's life, this brother's life, that every woman he proposed to said no. To the point that he said, maybe I hate to say this, to be honest, but I'm going to lower the standard. Right? and I think it's fair to say, because it's standard practice for a single 20-year-old man to propose, in his 20s, propose to other single girls, right? It's not standard practice to propose to older widows. Yeah. He began to propose to older widows. They still reject him. He proposed to someone, I believe, that she was handicapped. Rejected. He just couldn't get it until finally he wept to Allah in tahajjud. And he said, I had my arms up like this in complete desperation of my situation, and my eyes I was tearing, I couldn't stop crying. We don't live alone. We live, Allah is watching, Allah is with us, and Allah answers us. He said very shortly thereafter, I met a friend who met a friend who suggested to me to propose to such and such a girl. He said, this girl, he had known about her, and she was somebody that he didn't even bother ever proposing to because she was out of his league. He said, there is no way. Okay? And she accepted him. Right? She accepted him. Unreal. So sometimes when you feel so miserable about yourself, take your broken heart to Allah, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet said, Allah says in Hadith Qudsi, أَنَا عِنْدَ الْمُنْكَسِرَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ مِنْ أَجْلِي. I am with the broken-hearted ones for my sake. For my sake means when they turn to me for that. You're broken-hearted because of some other reason. You're broken-hearted because of your interaction with the other humans that Allah created me alongside. Take it to Allah. I'm broken-hearted because of a tribulation I'm suffering, a situation. Take it to Allah. The man is like, subhanAllah, an amazing, he's a regular brother, but he talks about it all the time. He like tells people like, Allah, this is real. It's haqq. Allah is haqq. Long stream today, making up lost time. Plavro says, remember Kashmir. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with the Muslims of Kashmir. Okay. Are Ismailis considered Muslim? Ismailis are of two types. The one type are considered innovators. They uphold the known in religion by necessity matters, but they deviate from explicit texts. That group of Ismailis are called the Bahoris. They're innovators. What does that mean? An innovator he's not an apostate. He's not a kafir, but his good deeds don't count until he fixes his belief. His good deeds are not acceptable until he fixes his belief. That's the meaning of an innovator, or the legal standing of an innovator. Right? So the Nizari Ismailis are out of Islam. The Nizari Ismailis are the descendants of the assassins. What is it called? Game of Assassin's Creed. Okay? Assassin's Creed is kufr. Okay? Not the game. The creed of the assassins is today, the Nizari creed is kufr. Right? The creed of the Nizaris is kufr. Why? Because they no longer believe in salah. They no longer believe in fasting. They no longer believe that they have to make hajj. The hajj is to the Aga Khan. And their representative is Harvard professor, of course, because the Aga Khan donates so much money. That's why he's a professor there. Adnani or Admani, I don't even know his name. But this, look at his Ramadan tweets. He said, no, we're not the only Muslims who don't fast. How do you not fast as a Muslim? Then what Islam do you have? No salah, no zakah, no hajj. Why are you even bothering at that point? Like literally, why are you bothering? It's because it's a nice fat organization. There's a lot of networking going on, and there's a lot of money to be made because the zakah is on the income, and it goes straight to the Aga Khan, not to the poor. I'm sure they probably say that the Aga Khan then helps everybody, so he's a wakil. But zakah is 2.5% on savings after conditions are met, not on income. Okay. If I'm going to Mauritania to study, you think it's a good idea? I can't tell you. I cannot tell you this because I didn't go there myself. Can we purchase life insurance? No, life insurance is forbidden for us on two accounts. It's a money for money transaction. And on top of that, it's unknown what you're going to get back or what you're giving. It's unknown. So on both ways. Can we pray behind a person or group who says Allah is above the throne, and does that make them a kuffar, a kafir? If they just cite the verse, then no. But if they interpret it as he is physically above the throne, that's tajsim. And yes, we would not pray behind them anymore. If they physically, explicitly utter words of tajsim, then no. Okay. Can I write fantasy stories in which there are polytheistic religions? No, you can write a fantasy story, but don't cross any boundaries of Sharia. Right? Scooby-Doo. I'm an ex-Ismaili. They're not Muslim. They don't pray. They don't follow the Quran. Okay, there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth. Or the dog's mouth. Scooby-Doo is a dog, right? Are most Ismailis Nizari? I don't know. Here in East Brunswick, in Central Jersey, in our area, they're Bahoris. My neighbor. He's a very nice man. Very nice family. Right? But they're Bahoris. What do you think of the concept of Wahdatul Wujud? I could just basically simply tell you that if the intent of Wahdatul Wujud is pantheistic, meaning is saying everything is part of the divine or a mere reflection of the essence of the divine, or I don't know how they put it, to be honest with you, but if it's pantheistic, okay, everything is part of God, that's a doctrine we don't have in Islam. But if it's wahdat ash-shuhud, which is another concept, which is oneness of witnessing, that means when I look at this chicken, I remember its creator. When a bad thing happens to me, I return back to Allah in my thoughts. I say, this bad thing happens. Was it my fault? Did I do something wrong? Is it a test from Allah? It's a test from Allah. I constantly am reflecting everything back to the creator. That's not only acceptable, that's laudable. Mara says, or Hussam, are we all going to die? Yes. Is it easy to visit you from New York? Khalil, yes, it is. Very easy. Just take the station to New Brunswick and then take an Uber or walk to 367 Somerset Street at 1 o'clock, and we'll be here. 367. So you can't miss. We have the nicest house. We're right now in the most beautiful home in all of New Brunswick.
On the whole street, yeah.
The street and the whole town. Drive around the city of New Brunswick. You will not find a prettier abode than the one we're in right now. Yeah. Hiba Sayed, what are your thoughts on Facebook group that calls out men on Muslim dating apps? Is it gossiping? Yes. Well, if the guy puts himself on an app and he's just trying to get married, to put him down for that, yeah, why there's no valid reason to do that. So you'd be sinful for that. To make fun of him, okay. I mean, I understand why a woman would do that, except if they're angry at men, maybe because they're not receiving, no one's swiping on them, right? Is that the motivation? Can a Muslim man marry a Christian woman? In the Maliki school, we say about that's makruh, but it's valid. It's discouraged. Our hadith of Ibn Abbas reliable since he was young when the Prophet died? Says enjoyer. The answer is yes, they're reliable because he didn't only learn hadith in the time with he was a prophet. Some of them he did. Some he learned from the companions later on. But they are reliable. I have a question about a friend that is in the FBI. Is it a form of treason in Islam? Not necessarily, but not necessarily treason, because there are a lot of things that could be valid that they're doing. But I don't think many Muslims will it's not going to pass very easily with Muslims, because we just had a COINTELPRO and we still probably have a COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO is essentially co-opting the community intelligence program. Get someone from the community to spy on the community. And basically we end up all distrusting anyone who walks out of a government building. Because of that legacy, many Muslims will probably have question marks about someone who works in the FBI. But in itself, law enforcement is not, I can't say it's in itself treason. Because if you're working in narcotics, if you're working in federal crimes, right? That's all fine and good. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of questions, a lot of good things here for the sister. Yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of gossip talking about making fun of guys on Muslim dating apps. Yeah, I mean, it's gossip. There's no reason to actually do that. So there is if there's a reason to talk about someone who says something in the public sphere, it's not gossip. If there is no reason, then it's gossip. Right? So that's that. Ladies and gentlemen, جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
She